I have some Christian fiction romantic suspense recommendations to give you. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite Christian fiction romantic suspense that I have read in the past 2.5 years. So back when I first started my channel, or early on, I shared a video in May of 22 of my 5 favorite suspense authors and my favorite books by them. So I will link that video below, but know that it is one of my very early on videos. So, but I didn't want to repeat the books that I mentioned in that. So then I've narrowed it down to my favorites that I've read in 2022, 2023, and 2024. Okay. And as I was putting together this list, I realized I don't own enough of these books. I don't own majority of these books physically. I either own them on my Kindle or I borrow them. So that might be something I want to fix. Yes. My favorite genre, some of my favorite books, and I don't own them. Really? Yeah. Okay. So I decided to share suspense today to tie in with the announcement video that I just had that for the readathon that's happening in the month of August, the Keep Me in Suspense readathon. So I will also link that video below in the description if you haven't heard about it. In that video, I do give some other recommendations as well. I did not repeat any in this video from that video, but I did include some of my favorites in that video. And there's one author that is missing on this list because she's in that video. Okay, so let's just start and get into it. So I've broken this down by author. I have 15 books to share. So the first one is Angela Carlisle. The book is Secondary Target. This is her debut book. It is book number 1 of a series called The Secrets of Kincaid. And it just released at the beginning of May. And I gave this 5 stars. I loved it. So from the opening scene, secrets have been kept from Karina by her father. And she is now thrust into a game of life and death. None of the main characters are in law enforcement, but are stuck in this dangerous situation and work with the police for assistance. I appreciated how Bryce and his sister Allie put their lives at risk and on hold to be there for their friend Karina. This villain was evil and quite talented at getting past the defenses that were put in place. There are quite a few people that are seriously injured or killed. And I'm not a big fan of second chance romances normally, but these characters captured me and had me rooting for them to get back together. Faith is discussed quite a bit within this book, which I really appreciated, and the ending reveal shocked me just as much as Karina was shocked. I highly recommend this book, and I cannot wait till book 2 comes out, and I really hope we get to see these characters again. And there's a particular character that I hope book 2 kind of features. So we'll see. So that is my first recommendation. Okay, then my next 2 are by Darlene L. Turner. These are both with the Love Inspired Suspense line, so they will fit the prompt under 250 pages. Okay, the first one is Lethal Cover-Up. So Border Patrol Officer Madison Steele knows her sister Leah's fatal car crash was not an accident. Someone is willing to kill to cover up a pharmaceutical company's deadly crime. Now they are after Madison to tie off loose ends. With the help of her high school sweetheart, Canadian Police Constable Tucker Reed, can Madison expose the company's deadly plan before she becomes the next victim? This was action-packed, and I could not put it down. And, as kind of says, features a Canadian police constable and border patrol officer. So this is set in Canada, which was so fun to read. And then I'm pretty sure that her other book is also set in Canada. Darlene L. Turner is a Canadian author, a local author, and I don't know her personally, but my friend who I borrowed these books from to read does know her personally, and so has these ones. Okay, so the next book is Fatal Forensic Investigation. This is book 1 of the Crisis Rescue Team series, but these books do not need to be read in order. Some of the characters kind of are mentioned in books because they might be related to somebody else, but that's about it. Like the storyline doesn't really carry over. While interviewing the Coastline Strangler's only surviving victim, forensic artist Scarlett Wells, I think, is attached and left with amnesia. Now she's his next mark and has no choice but to work with Constable Jace Allen to unlock the criminal's true identity that's trapped in her mind. Will they be able to recover the hidden memory and hunt down the killer before he strikes again? This, again, was an action-packed story and kept me on the edge of my seat. It made me suspicious of everyone, but then I still ended up being surprised by the final reveal. The suspense and the case took center stage for the story, with the budding romance just happening in the background. Okay, then the next one I'm going to mention is also another series, or I should say, is a series. It's books 1 and 2 of a series. It is a 3-book series, but books 1 and 2 I enjoyed much more than I enjoyed book 3. And the book number 1, I was very hesitant to pick up. I picked it up, I think at the time, for kind of oldest on my TBR. I just had never gotten to it. I had it as a Kindle freebie at one point. And then I read the book. And now it's on this list. So the author is Lisa Harris. And the book is called Dangerous Passage. And this is book 1 of the Southern Crimes series. And it says, when 2 Jane Does are killed on the outskirts of Atlanta, detective and behavioral specialist Avery North discovers they share something in common, a tattoo of a magnolia on their shoulders. Suspecting a serial killer, Avery joins forces with the medical examiner Jackson Bryant to solve the crimes and prevent another murder. But it doesn't take long for them to realize that there is more to this case than meets the eye. As they venture deep into a sinister world of human trafficking, Avery and Jackson are taken to the very edge of their abilities and their hearts. So while I was invested in the case, it was the characters' personal lives that hooked me to this series. There are quite a few discussions between the characters about God and the evil happening in the world around them. The main case does conclude in this book, but there is another case that's going on with the personal lives that is not resolved, so I immediately picked up book 2, which I did not own and had to buy. But book 2 is my favorite of the series. So book 2 is Fatal Exchange. So I gave book 1 4 stars. Book 2 is a 5-star read for me. And this one, we are following Emily Hunt, who is the sister of Avery, who we met in book 1. Okay, so Emily might come from a family of cops, but she never goes looking for an adrenaline rush. She is a teacher and thrives on making a difference in the lives of her students. A student takes her class hostage, and she needs to draw on the strength and savvy she didn't know she had. So the story is told from the perspective of inside the classroom through Emily's eyes, and then the police on the outside trying to resolve the situation quickly and safely. The main characters are different from book 1, but they include the same family and the same police department. Majority of the story takes place in one day, but it is believable. This book does again end on a cliffhanger with the case that's going on. So then you had to pick up book 3 and read it. which, again, I had to buy because I read it. So I binged this series. And I didn't even write down the name of book 3. I should. We'll insert the cover here. I just don't know what it's called. It just wasn't my favorite, but it does wrap up the story very nicely. I do remember that. And it features another sibling from this family. Okay, then we move on to Irene Hannon. So this book is Into the Fire, which just released last October. I think it was last October. Is it newer than that though? No, I don't know. But this is book 1 of her Undaunted Courage series, and book 2 comes out this October. Okay, so Bree is a fire investigator assigned to investigate a fire that killed a recently retired but well-respected fire investigator. The fire doesn't appear to be arson, but Bree is suspicious of the circumstances. Mark from the ATF is called in to assist in the investigation. Mark and Bree are instantly attracted to one another, but neither is looking for a relationship at this time. They keep things professional while they work the case. It appears to be accidental, but Bree's gut is telling her there's more going on than appears. Can they figure it out before they are forced to close the case? I was intrigued and shocked when it was revealed who the killer was. Too bad Mark and Bree still had no idea. I liked getting to know these characters and seeing them interact and support one another through trying times. But I really enjoyed the secondary characters, and I hope Bree's siblings are featured in the coming books in this series. I have not looked to see who's even featured in book 2 because I kind of want to go into it blind. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this. This was a 4-star read for me, probably a 4.5 if I rated it in half stars, because I just really enjoyed it. I have something about fires. Yeah. Now I'm going to feature Lynette Eason and some of my favorite books that I've read in the last couple years. Okay, so the first one is Protecting Tanner Hollow by Lynette Eason. So I just read this one in July, so my review is coming. This is a novella collection of 4 short stories, and I gave it 4 stars. So you're getting kind of a sneak peek of my July wrap-up. I'm not going to talk very much about it though, but I will tell you that I especially enjoyed how some of the characters carried over between the 4 novellas. I loved kind of the main characters of each story are different, but some of the characters carry over as background and you get updates on them, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. And this is definitely suspense filled. Okay, then we have Too Close to Home, which is book 1 of her Women of Justice series. And this was my second time reading this when I read it April of 22. And I loved it again. And so this story deals with a difficult subject matter. Teenage girls are being kidnapped, and when they turn up dead, it is discovered they had been pregnant at some point. Yeah. Connor is the lead detective who is raising his 16-year-old daughter on his own after his wife passed away a few years ago. To say the case is hitting a little too close to home is an understatement. Samantha is an FBI computer forensics tech who is brought in to dig into the computers and try to find any connection between the girls. The story is told from multiple perspectives, including the villain. However, the villain is only referred to as the agent throughout, so it's not revealed who it is until very close to the end. I loved these characters and was sucked into the story and did not want to put it down. Then, book 2 of this same series is called Don't Look Back. And this was my favorite of the series. I have a thing about book 2s being my favorite. I just really do. I don't know why. So Jamie is the main character in this one, and she was kidnapped 12 years ago, but was able to escape. However, her experience has left her both physical and emotional scars. For years, she found comfort in her own home and would not go out in public without someone with her. She has recently graduated with a forensic anthropology degree and begins a new job she is enjoying. While working on a case, Jamie begins to think her kidnapper is back, and as events unfold, she starts to suspect he wants her back. But is Jamie being paranoid? I liked how Jamie's family and friends took no chances and ensured that someone was always with her. I did find it a bit difficult to read what Jamie experienced in the past and what the villain would do to his victims. It was disturbing. But I loved how Dakota, who's an agent, respected Jamie and allowed her to take the lead in the progression of their relationship. Jamie is the sister of Samantha from book 1, and so Connor and Samantha were actively involved in this story. And I love when characters continue and follow. Yeah. And so there is a book 3 to this series. Again, I didn't write down the name of it, so I'll put it here. But again, it wasn't my favorite. I really enjoyed book 1 and book 2 the most. Okay, then we have Double Take, which is her newest release currently. This is book 1 of the Lake City Heroes series. It just released in January. And then book 2 of this series, which is Target Acquired, comes out in the 20th of August. So very soon. So this book says, or the summary says, Detective Jamie Cross has been honorably discharged from the Army Criminal Investigation Division due to wounds sustained when an IED blew up near him. Now he's with the Lake City Police Department. Physician assistant Lainey Jackson is 18 months out from an attempted murder perpetrated by her ex, which ended when she managed to grab the weapon and shoot him. When he appears to have survived and is back to finish the job he started, Lainey insists it is not possible. But someone keeps trying to kill her, and she keeps seeing his face. Lainey and James must work together to find out who exactly is after her and why he wants her dead. And failure is not an option. So, was Lainey going crazy? Is Adam dead or not? I was hooked on the mystery aspect of this story. But there were so many friends introduced that it took me a while to get into it and kind of connect with the characters. However, I fully enjoyed the story and did not figure out the ending. Like, the reveal at the end shocked me again. And I like being shocked. And I cannot wait for book 2 because I especially hope it features one character. Again, it's one I have not read the summary of because I wanted to go into it blind. Okay, so then we have Terri Blackstock. If you know me at all, you're not surprised that I have these in physical copy. Okay, so the Newport 9/11 series. It is a 5-book series. My book number 1 does not match my book number 4 or my other 4, but that's okay. Okay, so, and in this one, book number 1, Private Justice, is my favorite of the series. Now, this was a 5-star read. The rest of them were 4-star reads. So, I mean, it's still a good series. And I think this is kind of the newer cover, and then my other covers are the older editions. Okay, so in this one, they're all set in the town of New Point. Did I say Newport? Oh my. New Point, Louisiana, which is just outside New Orleans. So I don't know if it's a fictional town. obviously New Orleans is not. And so they do spend a bit of time, like New Orleans is referenced quite a bit, but really it's focused on the town of New Point. Book number 1 is featuring a married couple who is currently separated because of issues, and can they get back together? Can they kind of rectify and save their marriage? And then the other books feature either a couple that's already married or singles that get into a relationship. So it's kind of a mix of characters throughout. And each character has some sort of connection to emergency services. So we're following, especially Private Justice is following firefighters mainly. So it says, the firemen of New Point, Louisiana face a personal and terrifying trial. Someone is murdering their wives, one by one. So a couple firefighter wives die in this one. Yeah. But I loved watching I loved the character relationship between the married couple, and kind of seeing, we get to learn kind of what happened, what brought them to the point they are, and following them kind of, can they fix it? Is there hope, or do they go their separate ways? But then I also loved the mystery that's going on, the suspense part of it, because what is going on? And can they figure this out before somebody else dies? So a lot of people do die in this one. I mean, really, I'm glad I don't live in this town, because a lot of people die over the course of the series. Okay, so that is book 1. Book 2. Now, these are the old covers, so they're not very nice, honestly. Okay, Shadow of Doubt is book 2, and it says, a poisoned past, a bitter present. Is Cecilia a murderer or a victim? And then book 3 is Word of Honor. What will it cost to keep a promise? Jill Clark learns the meaning of covenant when she is taken hostage by a suspect in a deadly bombing, but isn't convinced he's guilty. So as I said, this one, so I go back for a minute. This one is firefighters mainly. This one is, he is a police officer. And this one, a lawyer and a firefighter. Okay, then we have Trial by Fire. A church building burns to the ground, and a young man is found dead of a gunshot wound. The mystery is just being ignited as God uses disaster to bring about his will. So this one we are following a pastor who is also a firefighter, and then a paramedic. Okay, and then the last one is Line of Duty. And when a building collapses on several firemen, one is unaccounted for. Was he really buried, or did he take the opportunity to flee from the problems of his life? So again, we're following firefighters mainly. So that is the New Point 911 series. I will say there are some, especially in these last 2 books, there are some really disturbing things going on that, like, what were people like, how can people do that? Like, just evil, but kind of God prevails in the end. Okay, so those are 15 romantic suspense recommendations that I have for you today. Be sure to check out the Keep Me in Suspense announcement video, because there are more recommendations in that video. Have you read any of these? Did you enjoy them? Or have I piqued your interest for any of this? I'd love to chat in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you will subscribe to the channel and keep tuned, because August is going to be a suspense-filled month. Thank you. Bye.